973-0610. And joining me now in the studios here at WOJB, Danielle Carley from the Lakota Ojibwe University. Good morning.
Morning.
How you doing?
I'm great.
Are you liking these cooler temperatures?
Mm.
You,
I'm okay with it.
yeah, it takes a little adjustment. Thankfully, it just doesn't all of a sudden happen, and we can slowly glide into fall. But it's coming. The college has, or the university, I should say, the classes have started. Yes, and it's been going on for almost a week now, right? Oh, okay. So yeah, things are starting to move along. I know LCO schools, all the other schools are in session. So what's happening with in your world, in your position at the school, and what's happening with that?
There's a lot
Pull that microphone a
happening.
little closer to you there.
Sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, there's quite a bit happening actually. So we're in our second week of school. Right now in my position, I'm associate dean of students, so there's a lot of that work I do, and then
Oh,
work-based learning program director, so I'm kind of running both at the same time.
yeah,
The they both meld together so well. So
yeah,
it's all about helping students succeed. That's what I do.
sure.
Yeah.
Now, that extra responsibility, wasn't that, who was that position before you?
Well, there wasn't a position
Oh,
like
there
that.
wasn't. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so we've seen the need that our dean of students needs to have some support with what
Sure.
they do, and so I'm able to support that work.
Yeah. And what does that involve? What describe a little bit about what the dean of students does for the university.
All right, well, so yesterday we had a resource fair. That's one of
Oh,
the things that the dean does, um, and it's really kinda hard to pick the things apart to separate these two
oh,
roles because
sure.
they meld together so well. So yesterday we did a resource fair. We invited as many resource providers as we could fit in our building and who could attend to hopefully connect our students with the resources that are out there.
Yeah,
So our workforce development in Wisconsin actually has quite a bit of funding to help students succeed in college so that they can become employed because I'm not sure that everybody knows, but we have an aging workforce in
yes,
Wisconsin. And so we have a
yeah,
workforce that's aging out, and we don't have enough workers to fill the positions that are being uh, that will be vacant in the next 5 to 10 years,
right.
maybe even less, maybe more like 3 to 5 years now. So we are working hard as not only a state, but all the universities and all of our workforce development programs. We just work together to try
Yeah,
and just really try and help students succeed.
yeah,
Yeah, and understanding that the challenges and the barriers that exist here, housing, childcare, transportation, all of that really exist everywhere. So it's just in different at different levels.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I noticed I was at a meeting last night, and I was talking to one of the Hayward Township planning commission members, and again, planning, they look to the future and what's happening with housing, where's our workforce coming from. And I've heard this now for 5 years as I've, been involved in other community organizations here in Hayward. I've been a restaurant manager. We have shortages in staffing there. We have shortages in retail. There's really shortages of workers. And like you said, the younger people, where are they going for one? Are they going into the metropolitan areas for work because it's more, not more accessible, but there's better pay, better housing, or at least more housing? Where are you seeing the trends of students well, in the past years? Where are they going because they're not staying here?
That's an interesting question. Um,
It may not be a full good answer for it,
yes.
but
So really, it's the United States of America that is suffering with the worker shortage. So it's really
okay.
all across America where there's a lot of work to attract workers. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of work being done in other states to attract workers to those states.
Oh,
So we are kind of like just swapping people back and forth from state to state.
sure.
So that's we just don't have the population. until the infrastructure we've created.
Yeah,
So, um, where are they going? I couldn't tell you, to be
yeah,
honest. I know there's a lot that are not really doing a whole lot at the moment, so we're targeting and hoping to bring people back into, you know, working towards a better future for themselves.
mhm,
So we are part of that's what we want to do as well, is bring people in. I think a lot of our younger workers really just wanna start working. They don't necessarily wanna sit in the classroom. So
sure,
we've just hired a new, tech ed, a new position for technical education, and
sure.
we're gonna work toward bringing in more technical degrees into university, because that is going to attract more of the younger people to our university. We
Yeah.
also have our dorms being built, so soon we'll
Oh,
have
yeah,
dorms, and that's gonna help quite a
that'll
bit
help a
too.
lot. Yeah,
So, in understanding that housing is just an issue.
yeah,
That's the problem. So we have a lot of maybe even single people with no children, they can't find housing.
right,
So where do they go? You need to go where the jobs are, you need to go where you can find housing.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then childcare, again, for those with
childcare.
children, it's there. Yeah, because I know, in past classes through the extension, they were doing a lot of courses for the trades,
Yes.
and I'm assuming that was successful, so
Yes.
that's why we're getting a tech ed position now at the
Yes.
university for a more permanent presence
Yeah.
to these, careers that are out there, and I know always, the university has looked to their, native young people and said, "We want to educate you. We want to give you these degrees." We have a gal that works here, Keisha, who's now going on to her master's, and
Yes.
she wants to stay here. She doesn't
Yes.
want to go nowhere. So that's a good thing to start seeing is that our native young people here at LCO are getting great opportunities to go to school, to get those degrees, and then fill the positions here at LCO
Absolutely.
with those degreed positions. So it's great to
Absolutely.
see that.
Yes, we have a lot of different, programs at the university there. So we have our nursing program, we
Yeah,
have our human services and our business, and we also
business.
have
Yeah.
now a biomedical, biology degrees. We have 2 of those.
Okay.
So and then we have also teacher education. All of these are 4 years, and there's the human services and the business that go up to the masters. So those 2 are master's degrees. You can get a master's degree here at LCO.
Yeah,
That is
it
awesome.
is
That is
crazy.
like a dream come true to me.
Right.
So I ended up having to do an online school for me to get my bachelor's degree. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have it right now. So I'm
Yeah.
very, very thankful. And there are actually people across the nation now enrolled in our university,
Yeah.
and that is amazing. Um, so if you can look at a bright side of COVID, we can say that became global. We were able
Right.
to reach more people, and
Yeah.
so now we have students in Delaware, in I mean, just all over the place. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's very cool. Yeah, and besides the physical remote locations in Bad River, Lac du Flambeau, and
Mhm.
Red Cliff, you do have some physical locations there
Yes.
where students can see a professor in
Yes.
person or online,
Yes.
and so that's been very helpful to the other tribal
Yes.
communities in the area.
And one thing I wanna say also is that we also offer a GED program.
Oh,
GED,
yeah,
HSED. That one there has really, so Aaron Davis is our GED, HSED coordinator, and he's done a phenomenal job. So we've had probably about 15 graduates this year alone,
wow,
this year
okay,
alone, and I'm just so amazed and so proud of everybody for doing that and
yeah,
working towards those goals. So we will support people from, wherever they're at in their education.
right.
Mhm.
And there's some pretty good funding resources out there as well to help pay for tuition and book supplies. Talk a little bit about what you know of that. Maybe you don't know a whole lot because it's not your wheelhouse, but I know overall the atmosphere at the university is to make sure one, we can get them in the right degree area that they want to be in. And then the other hurdle is funding and how they
Yes.
can get that done.
Yes. So obviously we do have our FAFSA. So we would like everybody to apply for FAFSA. Some people will not receive FAFSA based on their own personal, income situation.
Sure.
That's okay. Still apply because that opens up other funding sources. So
Oh,
once you apply, then you can become eligible for other scholarships. They'll ask you, did you apply for FAFSA? So you have to be able to check the box, yes, I did. So there is that. We have a ton of scholarships. So our financial aid director, Kim
yeah,
Revoy, she's done so much work on improving our well, not improving, but just really boasting up and vetting
right.
scholarships. So if anybody's interested, go on our website, look at the financial aid, click on the scholarship area, and scroll down. You are going to see we have probably 30 scholarships just in one area and maybe 40 in another area. So there's
Sure.
just lots of funding out there.
Yeah.
The resource fair that we did yesterday, and we will bring them back. We've made connections and we'll bring people back to table at the university and we'll have
Sure.
that out for people to listen, to know that it's going to come. I'll let you know so that you can
Yeah.
let everybody
Right.
know.
Yep.
Um, but there is this one program in particular, it's called FSET, FSET, and they are a wonderful resource. They can help with books and computers and mileage and supplies. I'm not sure about tuition. We would have to really find out from them to find out and
Yeah.
make sure. Another great resource is the CEP program, SEP. That's been around forever. I was in high school and I was taking advantage of SEP. That's the one who did the Upward Bound programs.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're another really great resource. So there's a young lady who actually needs to travel here daily from Red Cliff, and she signed up through them, and they're able to provide her with mileage for her travel. And
Oh,
that's gonna be,
that's
instrumental
huge.
for her
Yeah.
success.
Wow.
And one other thing is that we do the internships. So that's part of my main wheelhouse that I do is internships.
Okay.
We have a lot of funding. We have a lot of funding um, for many, many internships. And even we can even do an internship here if you're interested.
Yes,
Yes.
we've had several internships come here, so
Yes.
that's been
Yeah.
very, very helpful. Again, not just for the student, but for the business
Yeah.
or the community organization,
Yeah.
whatever that resource is. And I really believe in internships myself. I was a an adjunct at a university in Minneapolis, and I always encourage students to get that internship. And they say, well, they don't pay that much, but the experience is priceless.
It is. And it's
It's
something you can put on your resume.
yes. And if you get a paid internship, great. But they're far and few between.
Hmm.
But again, the experience, and I don't like, and I'll talk to business owners when they get an intern, don't have them, cleaning the bathroom and
Hmm.
doing, find what their major is and put them to work in their major that they're working in
Yes,
and
absolutely.
give them that real life work experience. That's what they're there for in the internship and, help them with that progression
Absolutely.
because, again, that's what they're going to school for. So, in Keisha's standpoint, we put her in the front office
Hmm.
and had her start managing the business of WOJB, helping with fulfilling orders from our online stuff. She took care of the books, and even though we have a bookkeeper and an accountant with enterprise services, she was still able to put together the deposits, and these things are just the little things that we have to do in our jobs. Every job has these little
Hmm.
mundane things that they have to have done, and this is where you can get the experience in doing that, and then you can get into some more significant
Yes.
roles with that internship or eventually saying, hey, we can't do without you.
Hmm.
We'd like to hire you
Yeah,
when
so
your
there's
internship is done.
absolutely there's a lot of our internships that do turn into full-time employment for our students.
Yeah.
In our internships, I work with employers to develop an internship for students. We can do it based on the student themselves and what they want to learn, or we can have general internships.
Okay.
So we have like a library internship, and they're going to learn about how a lot of file management, customer service, things like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
front desk internships. These ones here are kind of the same, But then when we come over here to, say, WOJB, if we put an intern here, we might start out here, and if we wanna continue that internship, then we would revisit the internship description and just add duties or change duties, and
Okay.
based on the employer and the student, what does the student wanna experience? What do they wanna learn?
Sure.
And so our internships, they're not for credit, so students do not have to pay for the internship with tuition.
Okay.
They are paid internships, and we do pay $15 an hour for
Yeah.
up to 20 hours a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and I say up to because they're not required to work 20.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's another thing for businesses that are looking for internships, that the LCO Ojibwe University offers is they make the payments to the
Yes.
students. The business doesn't have to pay for the internship.
Not at all. All they need to do is supervise the intern, help them become a good employee,
Yeah.
and make sure that they're, just doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't know how many universities offer that paid internship through the university versus
Mhm.
the business offering the pay for the
Yeah.
internship. So that's a great benefit to the community. Wow.
It is, and internships are a great way to career explore as well.
Yeah.
So, I like to tell this one story, okay? So, there
Okay.
was these 2 young ladies, they were in the human services program. This is before we had the bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So, we had them in internships with our, mental health center. This is before Bijiki was built.
Okay.
So, they were able to sample different areas within and the different populations that they work with. And through that internship, these students were able to realized she didn't like working with young people, she wanted to work with adults, and the
Uh,
other one realized she didn't wanna work with adults, she loved working with the young people. So
sure.
when they went on for their bachelor's degree, they were able to tailor their bachelor degree for what they really wanted to do when they, on the other side, when they got
Right.
out into the workforce.
Yeah.
So now they're out in the workforce and they're still enjoying what they do, and that's wonderful.
And I know that generally happens with any uh, freshman or sophomore coming into a university. They have great ideas of doing this
Mhm,
with their life, and by the time they get to their junior year, it's like I'm not sure if I want to do that. I really want to
mhm.
do this instead. So they change their majors, and that's very common
It is.
in post secondary school life. Is you figure out I'm going to do one thing and then it changes later on, and that's okay because you still have time to make that changes. And everything that they did the previous 2 years, I used to be an advisor as well,
Mhm.
say, you know what, it's still a great experience to have because now you know what's happening in this career path, but and it may be transferable into the other major that they want to do instead. So lots
Absolutely.
of things are transferable.
Yes, transferable skills are, something that everybody should understand about themselves.
Yeah.
Part of what we do with our career services is we're helping people understand who they are, because nobody
Sure.
can tell you who you are. You got to discover that for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And when you figure out who you are and what you like, then it's so much easier to figure out what you want to do and what kind of problems you might want to work on in the
Yeah.
world. So when I
Yeah.
think about careers, I think about what do you want to solve? What do you
Yeah.
see out there that needs work, you know? And I always tell students to really just kind of think about what they like to do and what they don't like to do
Yeah.
because you don't want to get into a career with something that you don't like to
Oh,
do.
absolutely not. No.
Been there, done that, and I would not
I've
advise it for
I've always
anybody.
told my students that find what do you like to do in life and find a career in doing that.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people say, "Well, I'd like to play video games." Well, there are careers
Mhm.
in video game development and testing, and you could do
Yeah.
that, but there are some technical things that you have to learn again in the trades to do gaming and programming for that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of things that the university can help people in that pathway
Mhm.
to that specific thing. I've told people I've been in video production for 45 years now, and I haven't worked a day in my life. You know, video
Yeah.
production and radio and media, and I enjoy it. And I get paid to do a hobby,
Yes.
and that's the best job in the world. Now, does that mean there aren't some difficult days
Mhm.
in life? Just like in your job, there's always going to be that, but you got to have the skills. More particularly, I'm trying to think of the word, but life skills.
Mhm.
And university experience gives you those life skills because you
Absolutely.
deal with that every day as well.
Yes, absolutely. There are, nothing is 100%, right?
Right. Yep.
So there's parts of my position so I absolutely love what I do. I didn't know I had a career until I came to this position, and then I knew I had a career,
Yeah.
right? So before this, I worked in the casino business, I worked in the HR business, and I also had a lot of dead end jobs, let's put it that way.
Right.
And so I needed a change in my life, so I came to the well, it was the community college at the time,
Right.
and I was able to start on that path. So I would say your number one thing, anybody, no matter what age you are, if you're going back to university, go see career services, not just because it's a plug for me, but because it's a plug for you. You are investing in your future.
Right.
And every
Yeah.
time, every step you make, try and make that towards whatever it is you want in the future, right? So the sooner you can clear up your own path, the easier it will be to find out where you want to be.
Right.
I tell that story, I wish I kinda if I had one do-over, I think I would have got my education first and then did everything else.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes you just because of, your financial place in life, you may have to get a part-time job that isn't quite the job that you want to do, but it's something that you're doing to help pay the bills, to help pay for tuition if it's not available. Now there's what I would call the, um, silver generation that's coming back
Mhm.
to universities to
Yes.
either finish their degree or in my case, I've always wanted to go back and get that business education, even though I've learned a lot of business in the real world in the application. There's new technologies out there now for
Mhm.
operating a business or running it that isn't available in that life experience. So again, us older generation people are looking to going back to school. How many people do we have now at the university? Maybe not how many, a
Mhm.
specific number, but maybe what's the percentage of students that are of elder ages?
Okay. You know, it's kinda hard for me to tell right off the top of my head. I don't have
Okay,
that data in front of me, but I
right.
know that we have, what is it? I think it's 60% of our student body is non-traditional working with children. So that's quite a few, that's a large number. And then we have, I couldn't even tell you a percentage. So of that 40%, I would guess that I would say at least 30% of those are not are traditional students, which are
Yeah.
younger generation fresh out of high school.
Yep.
And then we have our silver students, the rest,
Yeah.
and they come into the university, and one of the great things about having elders or the older generation in the classroom with our younger generation is that you just get a wealth of knowledge. You get
Yeah.
a wealth of knowledge, so they bring their knowledge in with them,
Right.
and they have this real world experience that books are great for reading, but sometimes where the rubber meets the road, it might not work out the same way as it works in the books because 'cause we're
Sure.
dealing with real life.
Yep.
And so then we have our seasoned professionals
Yeah.
coming back and able to help our younger generation understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to have that real life experience. Okay, I've been doing this, but there's changes in that career path because of technology.
Yes.
You know, AI has been really can be a real threat to the
Mhm.
education community, or it can be a real blessing to that. And especially in business, even I have been looking at taking some online classes myself just because it's a new technology.
Mhm.
It's going to be infiltrating the media that I work in,
Yes.
and it's going to be infiltrating the businesses that we all get involved in the future. And I'd really like to know more about it before it really becomes mainstream.
Yeah.
And that helps me become more valuable as an employee to an
Mhm.
organization. Same with students, they can be a more valuable student to the workplace
Mhm.
if they learn these things. And again, just turning on a computer can be enough AI for somebody to learn. And
Yeah.
having our seniors, at least if they want to stay, they don't have to stay above the younger generation as far as knowing what's going on. But if they're going to use it in a job that they happen to get as a hobby, there's the computer. I've been teaching, laptop classes at the Elder Center, and there's a good amount of elders that really want to learn
Oh,
this
yeah.
technology, and
Mhm.
the resources are there for them. But again, it's because they may go work at a retail store, and they're going to have to know the POS system, which is usually run by a computer.
Sure.
And to be able to turn that on or to reboot it, it's having that knowledge to know what to
Yes.
do.
So, technology is in every position
Yeah,
now. There is no escaping it. It's
yeah.
everywhere, and it's been that way for a little while now. Pre-COVID, we were looking at what we were calling in the, workforce development world, in the career services world, looking at what is termed the 4th industrial revolution,
Mm,
and that is the AI.
yeah,
That's when AI is coming in. So artificial intelligence, um, what I would say is view it as a tool.
yeah,
View it as a tool that we can use, and we can use it in ways that we can benefit from.
yeah.
Like any other tool, you look at a hammer, you can use that for creating, or you can use it for destroying.
Oh, yeah.
So look at
Good
it for
metaphor.
yeah, look for the creation, right? I'm always looking for those win-win-wins. That's
Yeah,
what I look for. And so with our AI technology, we are trying to get ahead of it because there are those chat bots. I would highly, highly recommend not using a chat bot to write papers because they don't if you look at them, you can tell. As an instructor, you can tell that this was not written by a human person,
sure.
you know?
Yep.
So maybe go there to get ideas, but don't use it as your paper or as your knowledge base,
Yeah,
right? So when I say the industrial revolution, with AI, and like I said, it's everywhere, even our people who work in the woods. So we got some DNR people that come and talk with us.
sure.
Yeah, you need to have technology because everything goes into this little computer that they carry around with them
Yeah,
now.
right.
So you need to know this.
Yeah.
And we're here to help. That's what we do.
Operating some of the heavy machinery in the trades
Yes.
is all
Yeah.
computerized. It's
And
there.
yeah, absolutely. We need to get ahead of that. And that's why we have hired this new lady to come in um, as our, and I cannot remember her name off the top of my head, I am so sorry, but she
That
is our new
happens.
tech ed lady, and she's just gonna be a wonderful asset. Her and I are already working on things and ideas to move forward, and what we wanna do is also create some mini experience courses for not only our high school students, but for anybody out there who's interested in a sampling a little bit without actually fully
Oh,
applying
sure.
are fully so like the nursing program, what we wanna do is bring back our CNA,
Yep.
what is called as a medical assistant now. And so
Okay.
that's like a 6-week class. We can bring people in. People can get a real good understanding of what it means to be in the medical field, get their CNA license, and then be able to either go directly to work or decide if they wanna continue and, maybe they
Sure.
love nursing and they decide they're gonna continue with it.
Yeah.
So we wanna do that for all of our degrees and just keep expanding and helping people move forward.
Yeah. And there is a big demand for new CNAs to come into the
Absolutely.
marketplace. My wife works at a nursing home here in town,
Yeah.
and the
And
CNA's positions are always open.
when we go back to our workforce development, that's all based on, like, Wisconsin economy and
Yeah.
all of that. So right now, we are in a worker caregiver shortage,
Yeah.
and we see it, the writing is on the wall. In about 5 years, we're gonna need a lot of caregivers because we
Yeah.
have the aging workforce.
The aging workforce and
Yes.
the people who are retiring and those who are now needing more healthcare services, whether it's at home,
Yes.
and I'm assuming home
Yes.
um, assistance is going to be growing industry as well,
Absolutely.
even out here in the rural areas, because there's just not enough assisted living facilities. There's not enough nursing homes. Again, for that next
Yes.
10 years, when that population starts
Yes.
to need those services,
And people
or
wanna stay at home.
yeah,
A lot of people wanna stay at their house, and if we can find a way to keep them there, I think that would be ideal.
it's more, yeah,
Yeah.
it's better for them. So, well, wow, we've talked about a lot of things.
We did. There's one other thing that I wanna mention, though,
Go
is
ahead.
that we have our emergency aid program,
Okay,
and that is for students who, may experience an emergency that may prevent them from being successful at the university. We have a program they can apply for, and we can help them, like, if they need, um, car repair assistance or new tires, or they need childcare help, or, something came up that's gonna be a detriment to their education. They
sure.
can apply through this program, and we can help them.
Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. How do people get a hold of you for if they have any questions about where they're doing at the university, or maybe you can help steer them in the right direction to the right contact?
Yes,
How do people get a
absolutely.
hold of you?
So my email address is dcarley@lco.edu. My telephone number is 715-634-4790, extension 124, and my office is office 205. I'm right up in the front in the student center.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
pretty much there almost all the time, and you can stop by pretty much anytime you wanna stop by. I have an open door policy, and I'm willing to help anybody who stops in.
Yeah, I remember your office being easy to find. You just come in the front door and turn left, maybe check in at the front desk
Please
there,
do.
and
Mhm.
then they'll direct you to your office. It's
Yes.
pretty easy. So, well, thank you so much for coming in this morning. I appreciate it.